You are a bipedal ape on the African savanna. There is no drive-through. There is no trauma center. There is no existential dread about your inbox. You are naked. You are slow. You have no claws. The grass rustles. Something large and starving is watching you. By every biological metric, you are a walking, talking Happy Meal for a saber-toothed cat. Yet, you are the one still here. Look at your body, strip away the clothes, the tools, and the unearned confidence of the 21st century, and you are left with a fundamentally pathetic survival machine. 2 million years ago, during the Pleistocene epoch, the world was a hyper-lethal arena designed to kill you in increasingly creative ways. Our hominin ancestors shared their zip code with a nightmare roster of apex predators. There was Dinophiles, a false saber-toothed cat explicitly built to crush primate skulls. There were giant hyenas with jaw pressures capable of snapping human femurs like stale breadsticks. Against this lineup, humans brought absolutely nothing to the physical table. We had no venom. We lacked the thick, piercing-resistant hides of a rhino. Our teeth were practically ornamental. A modern human bites down with about 160 pounds of force. A Pleistocene hyena could easily exert over 1,000. We could not fly. We could not burrow. Our top sprinting speed was laughable. Even today, an Olympic sprinter would barely serve as an appetizer for a mildly motivated cheetah. When early humans found themselves caught out in the open by a hungry predator, their primary defense mechanism was dying. But natural selection is a numbers game. And while our physical hardware was garbage, our software was undergoing a massive, desperate upgrade. We didn't evolve to outmuscle the monsters. We evolved to outweird them. The first weird thing we did was stand up. Bipedalism is objectively a terrible way to run away from a quadrupedal predator. You lose balance, you expose your soft, vulnerable abdomen to teeth and claws, and you sacrifice explosive sprinting speed. But bipedalism wasn't about the sprint. It was about the marathon. By standing upright, early hominins reduced the amount of solar radiation hitting their bodies during the blistering midday African sun. Combine this with the evolutionary decision to ditch our thick body hair and crank up the production of eccrine sweat glands, and humans became the most efficient thermoregulatory engines on the planet. Most predators, like lions or leopards, cool down by panting. If they run in the heat of the day, their brains literally begin to cook. They have to stop. They have to rest. Humans do not. We just sweat and keep moving. This allowed our ancestors to shift activity to the middle of the day. We walked into the hottest, most miserable hours of the afternoon to forage, precisely because the giant murder cats were all taking naps in the shade. We survived by mastering the art of the tactical commute, but standing upright gave us something even more dangerous than sweat. It freed our hands, and those hands were attached to a very peculiar anatomical anomaly, the human shoulder. A chimpanzee is incredibly strong. It can rip your arm out of its socket without breaking a sweat. But a chimpanzee cannot throw a baseball at 90 miles per hour. A chimp cannot even throw a rock at 20 miles per hour with any real accuracy. Their shoulders are built for hanging from branches, locking their joints in place to support massive weight. Over 1 million years ago, the genus Homo underwent a radical skeletal redesign. Our shoulders shifted, the clavicle lengthened, the scapula moved down our backs, the humerus twisted. This specific architectural alignment created a biological slingshot. When you pull your arm back to throw, the ligaments and tendons in your shoulders stretch, storing massive amounts of elastic energy. When you release, that energy snaps forward, whipping your arm like a medieval trebuchet. We are the only animals capable of high-speed, lethal, accurate throwing. This changed the math of the savannah. Before the throwing shoulder, defending yourself from a predator meant getting within biting distance, which meant you were dead. After the throwing shoulder, humans invented action at a distance. A lone Homo erectus with a pointy stick is still a tragedy waiting to happen. But 10 Homo erectus individuals, all equipped with heavy, sharpened wooden spears, hurling them simultaneously with lethal velocity from 50 feet away. That is a biological weapon system. Predators evaluate risk and reward. An easy meal is great. Taking a rock to the eye socket at 60 miles per hour is not. Suddenly, the squishy apes weren't so squishy anymore. They were prickly, and they were angry. Yet, rocks and spears only work when you can see the target. The real nightmare of the Pleistocene wasn't the day, it was the night. When the sun went down, human thermal regulation and visual acuity meant absolutely nothing. Predators own the dark. The leopard doesn't care about your throwing shoulder when it drops out of an acacia tree at 2 in the morning. To survive the night, our ancestors had to conquer chemistry. They had to steal the sun. The taming of fire is the single most important technological leap in human history. It wasn't just a heat source, it was a localized force field. Predators are hardwired by millions of years of evolution to fear fire. It blinds sensitive night vision. It destroys habitats and it burns. A roaring campfire created a perimeter of psychological terror for the beasts lurking in the grass. For the first time in the history of mammals, a primate could fall into a deep, restorative sleep on the ground, completely unprotected by trees or caves, just by keeping some wood burning. This deep sleep, specifically REM sleep, skyrocketed, and while the humans were sleeping better behind their wall of flames, the flames were doing something else. They were pre-digesting their food. Cooking meat and tubers outside the body meant the human digestive tract didn't have to work as hard. Our guts shrank. Our intestines shortened. The massive caloric energy previously used for digesting raw, fibrous material was suddenly freed up. The body took all that excess energy and dumped it straight into our skulls. Our brains exploded in size. Fire literally cooked us into higher consciousness. But massive brains come with a massive cost. They take forever to develop. Human infants are born completely useless. A baby horse can run a few hours after birth. A baby human cannot even hold its own head up for months. They are loud, slow, and soft. An absolute liability in a world filled with starving hyenas. To protect these incredibly expensive, vulnerable infants, early humans had to fundamentally rewire their social structure. Survival was no longer an individual sport. It was a highly synchronized group effort. This is where the deadliest weapon in the human arsenal was forged, the whites of our eyes. Look at a gorilla or a chimpanzee. Their sclera, the area around the iris, is dark brown or black. This camouflages their gaze. In a brutally hierarchical primate society, making direct eye contact is a challenge. It gets you killed. Humans evolved bright white sclera. We did exactly the opposite. We broadcast exactly where we are looking to everyone around us. This is terrible for hiding your intentions from an enemy, but it is an absolute masterclass in silent communication with an ally. A group of early humans stalking through the tall grass or surrounded by a pack of dire wolves didn't need to yell to coordinate a defense. A simple glance, a dart of the eyes, and the entire tribe instantly knew where the threat was coming from. We developed a shared mind. This ultra-sociality meant that a predator wasn't just hunting a single ape, it was hunting an interconnected hive. If a cave bear attacked a Neanderthal, the bear wasn't fighting one Neanderthal. It was fighting the entire tribe. Their collective memory, their shared tactical knowledge, and their deep-seated evolutionary vengeance. We took care of our wounded. The fossil record is full of ancient human skeletons showing severe trauma. Crushed femurs, missing teeth, shattered skulls. Yet, these bones have fully healed. In the wild, a broken leg is a death sentence. For early humans, it was a reason to carry your friend. Empathy became a tactical advantage. By combining sweating, throwing, burning, and bonding, we completely short-circuited the food chain. The slow, clawless apes walked out of the African cradle and evicted every apex predator on the globe. We drove saber-toothed cats into extinction. We pushed the giant short-faced bears off the map. We didn't just survive the monsters, we became the monsters. We replaced the biological fangs we lacked with physics, chemistry, and friendship. And that is the grand irony of the human condition. We constructed a perfectly insulated modern world using brains wired for a hyper-lethal prehistoric wilderness. You sit in traffic, perfectly safe inside a metal box, but your heart rate spikes. Your cortisol floods your system, and your palms sweat as if a leopard is staring at you through the windshield. Your stress responses are ancient. Your body still thinks it is constantly on the menu. But take a deep breath. Look at your hands. Look at your throwing shoulder. The war for survival ended thousands of years ago, and you won.